iHeart Community is very happy to have in our studio as a part of our Mammo Series by Jefferson Radiology is cancer survivor and good friend, Susan Lane. Welcome.
Thank you, Renee.
Tell us your story a little bit about what you went through at a very young age facing cancer. You were a young mother, you were young everything. You're 34, your whole life is ahead of you, and then you find a...
Right. I found a lump.
Yeah.
I was taking a shower and it felt like this peanut-sized lump under my skin. And my first thought was dismiss it. I'm too busy. I have a lot to do. I'm a single mom. I have to go to work. And so I didn't really want to pay attention to it. And of course, it didn't go away. So I went to see my doctor and really still didn't want to believe that there could be anything wrong because I was too busy. As most women will say,
Yeah.
We're busy. We've got lives that we have to lead and families that we have to nurture. So at the prompting of my doctor, I did go to Jefferson Radiology to have a mammogram done. And it came back with some questions. They really needed to dig deeper and figure out what was going on. And fast forward to that call that I received from my doctor that said, you do have cancer. And it was a moment of shock and disbelief and concern and just a flood of emotions that come through. I just had to begin to plan forward as to what was that going to look like. I'm just so very thankful that I had a great network of friends and people like the staff, the technicians, the radiologists at Jefferson Radiology. They were so caring and compassionate because this is scary stuff to face.
Especially at an age where you would never imagine or think that you could be facing.
Yeah.
So you think it, they always say, mammograms 40 and older, the baseline, of course, and then here you are, 34.
Right. I wasn't scheduled to even have one.
You had to do it your way.
Yeah, ask my parents. They'll tell you that that's typically the way it goes.
But yeah, talk to me a little bit about the personal experience that you had, because we know the medical side, we know how emotional that is, but you need a little help on the other side too, right?
Yes. It is one of those things where you never expect to hear it, and when you do, a flood of emotion and a flood of questions and what do you do? And like I said, I'm so fortunate to have had a strong network of friends and great family around me that could just listen. Sometimes you just need to be heard and not have a bunch of information thrown at you to here's what to do. And I had to figure out how to tell my daughter, who was so young at the time. And, I look back and I laugh now because when I did tell her, the only thing she asked me, I believe she was 5. I have to go back in my mind as to how old she was, but she was so young. Her only question was, is it contagious?
Oh.
And, it was just the sweet
just a child question.
Yeah, and I was able to assure her that no, it was not. And of course, she's going to have testing done sooner than other people. But it was things like that I was able to grab onto and find some sense of security. Yeah. And to be able now, 17 years later, to be some beacon of hope to other women who are facing this, because there is hope. And some people know that my mother this year became now a cancer survivor, breast cancer survivor. She was diagnosed in January. So just
at what age for her?
79.
Wow. You're never out of the woods. You always have to do your checks, right? You have to do your breast examinations and your mammograms because...
That's what it was for her, because she didn't think anything, and it was a mammogram that found something suspicious for her.
At 79.
At 79.
Wow. And
so, knowing that I can be a resource for other women and to remind them to do the self-checks, to make sure that you're advocating for yourself, advocate for your health, and be a support system to other people. It brings me joy to be able to be that support.
And how long were you in treatment? How long did you go through your process? And when was the day you found out you were cancer-free?
Well, for me, mine was stage 1. So I had a lumpectomy and radiation, and this all took place in 2002.
Okay.
So it was 6 weeks of radiation and really went through rather smoothly. But fast forward to 2006, and I was having some more tests done, as you have to have the follow-ups to make sure that everything is fine. And the MRIs that I was having were revealing cloudy areas.
Oh, dear.
And although the doctors were saying, it doesn't look as though it's anything, your history says we need to make sure. And I was happy to make sure that I was going to be okay. I went through and had another invasive procedure with a needle-guided MRI, and it was painful and scary for me. But it came back that I was still cancer-free. And they needed to see me again in 3 months. So 3 months forward, I have another MRI, and it's a little cloudier. And of course, the rush of emotion comes back. Is it back? There's always that nagging feeling. Is it going to come back? And I went through the procedure again. It came back saying that I did not have cancer. And at that point, I decided I needed to make a pretty bold move for myself. And I chose to have a bilateral mastectomy and reconstruction to remove the fear and the constant concern that I was having after consulting with my doctor.
And it was your decision.
That was mine.
The right decision for you.
Yes, it was. And I do not have the gene. I did have the test done to see if I carried the gene for breast cancer, and I did not. So that's what had stopped me from needing to go to this extreme in the beginning. But for me, I needed to have that sense of security. So I did go through that. Yeah. And that was in 2006. In 2007, I had to have some more surgery done due to some complications. And those happen. And again, support system.
Yeah.
Who is in your corner and there so when you're crying and scared, they're there to comfort and just help you to take that next step. What is it going to be?
Would you recommend Jefferson Radiology to another woman or another person going through what you did?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have been there for other reasons too. And every time I am in Jefferson Radiology, I am treated with respect and comfort. And I know people personally who work there. Oh. And when you know that you're being cared for by people that really care for you, you're not just another patient walking through the door. You really matter to them. It makes me get choked up, but that's how I feel when I walk through those doors.
Susan Lane, thank you for sharing your story and being a part of our Mammo Series.
Thank you for having me.
All right. For more information, you can visit mycommunityaccess.com and get linked up to Jefferson Radiology. Or if you're listening right now, feel free to visit jeffersonradiology.com for the most advanced technology in mammograms.